Looking back to Saturday, I felt, our guys were ready for the game and prepared well and prepared hard. And, it really came down to we just never really had any momentum in the game. And yet the score was close. We had opportunities that we didn't take advantage. And in the end, being unable to move the football and score touchdowns to get some momentum didn't happen. And then we needed to stop the run and get better field position for us. We really didn't have any great field position drives and all those things, which had helped us during the year. So, disappointed in the result. Was not disappointed in our effort. I felt our guys prepared hard, and we were excited to be there in the tournament. We just wanted to move on, but that didn't happen.
What's on the top of your mind as far as, I imagine you already start turning the page and thinking, we got to get better here, we got to do this better. What's at the top of that list?
Well, I think, as we get over that night, you got to get through that night. It was always tough saying goodbye to the seniors, but yeah, you start thinking about the future. And, I believe, offensively, we want to find a way to be a bit more balanced. We had a lot of fun with what we were doing this year, and I think we played to our strengths, but we want to be a little bit more balanced and be able to run the football when we have to or need to run it, execute, that we can get the tough yards when we need to do that. And then defensively, we got to defend the run better. So those are two things that stick out. And, we want to be a physical football team, and I think we played physical at times, but we got to be more consistent at being that able to run the football and defend the run, because that's been a part of us here at the University of North Dakota for a long time, defending the run and making teams one-dimensional. I think, it's a little bit more difficult nowadays, the way offenses have changed and really spread you out, but we believe we can do better and can get back to that type of defense and offensively being more balanced.
Eric kind of mentioned it. Does this offseason feel different knowing that you're going into a new conference? Does that change anything, your approach on how you might attack practices or anything?
Well, we really got to learn a lot about opponents. We can't take for granted that just because we're coming back to a league that we were a part of, or several opponents were a part of for a long time. It's been a long time since we've been in a Midwest league, and we've got a lot of work to do as far as studying opponents. We've played South Dakota recently and played North Dakota State, played Missouri State a couple times in the last 6 years. But other than that, we haven't played a lot of these league members. So it'll be different. It's another transition that we're going through, and the style of play will be a little bit different. But for the most part, when we recruit to what we want to be and the best we can be at that type of offense and defense that we want to play.
Does that kind of reinvigorate you to learn about new teams? I know maybe the monotony of seeing these teams year in and year out. Does that kind of re-inspire you, reignite the fire?
Well, I think transition, it's fun. It's exciting, but it's challenging too, to learn about a lot of new opponents. And this is something that gets challenging in your non-conference schedule every year. And we seem to have some tough luck. It seemed like we were always facing a new coordinator in some of our early games. But you can do enough research and find out a lot about what guys have done in the past, and that's all part of the process. But yeah, it is exciting. We think this is a good thing, and we felt from the start when it was announced that it was going to be the best thing that happened to our football program for the long term. Now, in the short term, we got a lot of work to do and have to learn a lot about a number of new opponents. But it's sure exciting to be back in a conference again after being an independent the past 2 years. Even though we were playing that Big Sky schedule, there was a different feel to it. Being an independent, not the actual game prep and how we focused on that, but there were other things that you weren't a part of when you aren't in a conference.
Coach, you talked too about planning for the future. How far in advance do you have to start thinking about the quarterback position?
Well, the quarterback position we're thinking about right now. We've already got a guy committed to be here second semester. We got 2 guys in the program that have played quarterback, and we use Brock Boltman in the quarterback position for run game purposes and a few things like that as a changeup. But yeah, that position is really critical to a football team. So we're constantly looking at it, how we can be best at that position, and we got a lot of faith in the guys that are going to be part of it. And we got to work hard at their development, but we still need to look at how we can keep that position and keep improving at that position.
I thought when 2018 went to 2019 in terms of leadership here, you had Santiago and Oliveira, and then it was kind of a natural transition into Wanzik and Toivonen and Mason Bennett. Do you see a next leadership group developing? Do you take a hands-on approach to that, or do you let it sort itself out?
I think some of that will take place naturally. We'll let it sort out, but we've already talked to guys. We feel like Jackson Turner can be a leader on the defensive side of the ball. He's played, and he's really tough. He showed some courage that we need to see on our football team. That was a great example of courage on Saturday night, to play with the physical state that he was in, and to make that third down stop and pop a ball loose. And I think guys respond to that and respect that a great deal. On the offensive side, we're going to be older on the offensive line now. We may see somebody emerge from that group, and we just got to keep working on that and leadership and see who's going to step forward. So some of it happens naturally. I think you do talk to guys about, hey, the expectations are, and we need to have some leaders emerge, and we'll see where that goes within the next 2 months.
Now that the season's done, can you give us maybe an idea of how banged up you actually were, what JJ was going through, what some of your guys were going through?
Yeah, and I said, every football team's going to be banged up, and we were one of them. It was unfortunate for James Johannesson. He just was not very healthy on Saturday, and he worked hard throughout the week, and we just didn't feel like he could get to a point where he was close. He wasn't close to 100%. He played sparingly, and he was willing to do whatever we asked him to do, but we had to do what was best for our team. And I felt like Jackson Turner and Noah Wanzik, some of our key guys, were really gutting it out to play in that football game. But there were a number of other guys that you just don't feel when you get to late November and December. You're not going to feel like you did in August, and that's part of playoff football. And the one way we can address that is keep improving the depth in our team, so we can manage guys a little bit better earlier in the season, manage them. And we got to do a good job in spring ball, do as much as we need to with the contact to get guys ready to play, but we also got to manage them so they stay healthy. And same way when we get to fall camp, but improving the depth in our team has really got to be a focus, so we keep getting better and better at that.
With how tough this schedule set up at the beginning of the year, do you think, looking back on it now, it's helped you in preparation to getting to the Missouri Valley next year, where there's going to be playoff teams all around you?
Yeah, I think a challenging schedule is always going to help you, and we're going to have a challenging one in 2020. We go down and play an FBS team. We play K-State. We're going to play North Dakota State, South Dakota. We're going to play Illinois State. I'm just rattling off some. There's a lot of playoff teams in that schedule again, so it's going to be challenging. And to have a challenging schedule this year should help our football team, because anytime you go through experiences, it should help you. Now, it's always going to be different, and each team is different every year, and we got to figure out, you mentioned one thing earlier, the leadership, and we got to figure out where our strengths are and where our improvement areas are that we really got to work on. And those will be the things that we continue to work on throughout the winter season, spring and summer.
Coach Schmidt alluded to us. He said it felt like because guys were having to go in those do-or-die situations in the last 2 weeks, and they spent so much just to get to the playoffs, that when it got to Saturday, it just felt like they didn't have a ton of gas left in the tank. Did you get that sense at all?
Yeah, we, there was a lot of emotion spent in those 2 weeks, and then this third week, and we got a little feel. We talked about it after the game, and we're talking to our guys right now. Because you want to know how you can do things better as a staff. Because we're looking at everything. I got to look at myself and see what can I do better to prepare the football team, and what can I do better to help our staff and our players. And there was some of that. We discussed that after the game. Hey, because we had energy, but did we have enough to really make that play that was going to turn the game around? Because we just didn't get any momentum plays where we did 2 weeks before. Now, obviously, we're playing a playoff team on the road, and that could have something to do with it too. But we feel like we got to take a look at everything and really evaluate, because we want to do as best job as we can doing moving forward. And when we get in that situation again, we got to draw from the experience.